he was telling me to be violent and be aggressive, and I couldn't do it. I just didn't feel right.
A dangerous predator subjected a woman he met on a night out to a terrifying and violent ordeal. He used his power and control solely for his own sexual gratification, with no consideration for the impact it would have on the victim. Using the account provided by the victim, we launched a detailed investigation to find the man who was posing this risk to women. It was not for me or my team to decide whether we believed the allegation or not. It was our responsibility to investigate what she told us, following all reasonable lines of inquiry to establish the facts in the case. In June 2022, officers were contacted by a woman who told them she'd been raped at a hotel in Bethnal Green 2 months earlier. The woman, aged in her 20s, had travelled to London to meet a friend. They were on a night out when she met the suspect in a local fast food restaurant. The pair got on well at first, and she agreed to go back with him to a nearby hotel where they had consensual sex. He became aggressive and told her she wasn't going anywhere. He strangled her, raped her, and hid her phone so that she couldn't leave. She described the attack as never-ending, fearing she'd never see her family again. Scared about the situation escalating, she acquiesced to the violence and explained in her statement that she tried to act normal and that everything was fine. She described herself as doodling around the hotel room, waiting until the opportune moment to get her phone and escape. He then told her that his friend was on his way and made further threats of violence. She felt she had no choice but to flee. She ran through the hotel and to a local corner shop where she called her friend for help. The victim was not ready to report the incident to police at the time, and she returned home. She self-referred to her local sexual health clinic, where they gathered the necessary forensic evidence and agreed to store it until such time as the victim felt ready to report to the police. 2 months later, the victim bravely reported to police in her hometown, sharing the trauma that she'd endured on that night. The report was passed from her local policing team to the Rape and Serious Sexual Assault Investigation team in Bethnal Green. The victim was able to provide a name and telephone number for the suspect. He was identified as Delroy Tyrone O'Geist. Officers attended several properties that he was associated with, but there was no sign of him. Inquiries continued, and he later handed himself in. He was interviewed and bailed pending further investigation, but O'Geist broke the bail conditions after he failed to be at home during curfew checks, and his phone placed him instead in Hertfordshire and Essex. Throughout the investigation, O'Geist claimed that sex was consensual and tried to use footage he'd recorded on his phone that night to support his defence. We were able to compare the footage he provided against phone records, which assisted with creating a timeline of events. We also referred back to the original statement made by the victim. She'd been open about the consensual elements of their sexual interactions earlier on in the evening and had made it clear that she acted normal out of fear. We presented our case to the Crown Prosecution Service, who authorised 2 charges of rape against O'Geist. O'Geist was due to return to the police station, but on hearing that he was going to be charged, he fled. This launched a 6-week manhunt. He was later arrested by plainclothed officers after they located him travelling through the Stamford Hill area. O'Geist was found guilty at Snaresbrook Crown Court in September 2023. Tackling violence against women and girls is a key priority for the Met, and we will continue to do all that we can to remove predatory offenders from the streets of London. If you have been a victim of rape or sexual assault and would like to speak to police, you can call 101 or report online. You can also attend a police station. Always dial 999 in an emergency.